Are you from the Oh, okay.
This is my wife. She's originally born.
I want to just welcome everybody that's here. All the family, all the friends, everybody. This is our family reunion 100 years. Our grandpa came. Yeah. These two ladies right here are the matriarchs. They're very dear to me. They've always been just wonderful aunts. I couldn't ask for better aunts, but they're direct descendants of Jim and Myrtle Wells, Lauren and Dora. We call them Stub and Blonde. That's all I know. So we're glad to have them here. You know, time goes by and we don't know each other. You know, there's a whole bunch of you guys here that I've met. They're, you know, your third and fourth generations of Jim and Myrtle, Poppy and Mommy, Grandpa and Granny. I don't know how you want to refer to them, but this is why we have these, so you guys can get to know each other. You third, fourth, fifth generation people need to get to know each other. It's very important. Family is great. Time goes on, and it's life's too short. Life's too short. Grandpa was 21 years old. Granny was 19 years old. They had a 2-month-old baby son, we called him. His name was James Marvin. They was in Arkansas in 1919. They had a friend up here, Doc Smith, that lived up out east of Mountaineer somewhere, Round Top area. So Doc Smith was out here. Anyway, he wrote letters to Grandpa, and I'm not sure what was going on in Arkansas, but they made the decision to come to New Mexico. December 11th, 1919, they came to Willard, and I understand that it was snow on the ground, and they had this little baby. They were young folks, and they came to Willard on the train. They got off the train at Willard, and Doc Smith wasn't there. In November, I believe it was the 20th, I may have that exact date wrong, 1920, they settled right up here. There's a tree right off out there, and there was a house, the way I understand it, and my grandmother was pregnant with Wes's dad, Preach. After that, you know, they moved around. They moved right up to the end of the trap here for some reason. The house was here, and then my dad was born up here. Jack was born up there. I assume Ray was born up there too. So, and then they moved on over east 2 miles to the Hyde Well. All these years went by, and Grandpa was a trader. They bartered for everything, and some of that trait has filtered down through. Wes has an awful lot of that. Ken has a little bit of it. I think J.E.'s pretty much filled with it. I might have a little bit of it. At some point, Grandpa got saved by the Lord. He was in a field somewhere, and I think the Holy Spirit came on him, and he hooped and hollered and come about, and so the Lord called him to preach the gospel. And he did that for essentially the rest of his life. I found a few notes that I believe Grandpa wrote sometime before he died that was down at Daddy's house, and he has history. I guarantee I can put it together and make a history book of this area. He wrote on not every homesteader, but a whole lot of them. He told their names, and he said that they came to see relatives, and he gave all of that history in one little page, and I have several pages of that. it's very interesting to me to read. Anyway, that's kind of how we wound up here. 100 years have went by since Grandpa landed at Willard, New Mexico, a 21-year-old man with a 19-year-old wife and a 2-month-old baby. And there's a whole bunch of us that's a result of that. I think that that's awesome. I think that Grandpa would be so proud. Do you ladies want to say something? Blondie don't. Stub always has something to say.
Like he said, Jeff said, every place we've had to stop. And usually, I don't remember what year it was, he took this old truck and we took people, the couches was one of them. And we took them down and let them get off at their relatives.
Oh, right. Yeah.
And he'd usually, what he's talking about, a trader, he'd take a truckload of beans, he'd come back with watermelons, fruit, apples, whatever he could get. But yeah, we've experienced that with him. And if our brother's here, they could probably tell you a lot of things that they did with my dad one year. We laughed about that too. But anyway, I'm glad that I'm a part and still here. We're so thankful for all of you guys that are here today.
Now, to add a little bit to what Jeff said about our granddad and when he got saved, from what the stories I know, and of course Jeff and I have talked, so we can tell whatever stories we want because nobody can refute what we're going to say. So we may make up a lot of stories here.
Hubert said he was going to refute it.
Oh, Hubert's going to refute it. All right, we'll let you tell your story, Hubert. So, but he got saved right over here in the Pinto bean field is where he got saved, gave his life to God, and my dad said even the dogs and cats knew when he got saved. Yeah. So he made that much difference in his life. So, you know, we have a lot of history here, and I, along with Jeff, I'd like to say thank you to everybody for coming here. But what I really want to tell everybody is thank you for your prayers. And I'll try not to get emotional here, but, you know, in October of 2017, they gave me 6 months because it was stage 4 cancer in the bone. But I want you to know God answers prayer. And I thank everybody for your prayers. Thank you for your prayers because they worked. So continue. And I just want to say thank you for that because it meant, you know, when I first got that news, I've been thinking about this occasion for about 5 years and hoping we could do this. You know, and I just thank God I'm here to share it. God continues to open doors for me to share my testimony. And, you know, when we look in Isaiah chapter 38, it says that God sent Isaiah to Hezekiah, tell him to get his business in order. He was going to die. But he prayed, and God gave him 15 more years. So I got 13 and a half for sure as a minimum. So thank you for your prayers.
I'm kind of a numbers person. I like to do numbers. We kind of kept track then. If we're talking about the first generation was Jim and Mennel. There's 2 of them. They had 8 children. And each one of those children married. So that made 18 there. Then they had kids. Son, the oldest, he didn't have any children. Bernie had 3. Then Nora had 4. Jack is next. Jack had 3 boys. All right, and then Ray, 4. So speak up, you who are in the family. Bill had 5. Stub, I gotta say Dora. Stub, 6. Blonde,
5.
so 30. Well, when I was counting up, I could only count 27. I think I missed some of yours, yeah. Okay, 30 in that generation, and then we had 16 the next generation, and 2, so we got 48. Well, I'm glad we can do that.
10, and then the great-grands.
Yeah.
The great-grands.
So according to our numbers, we have 241, and that's not counting McDaniels. That's not counting Auras or Max.
Yeah, them are direct descendants of Jim and
Yeah, we're looking at Jim and Mennel, James.
what was the number?
241. Now I remember when Grandpa Wells, Jim, one of his things he said when he was getting pretty elderly, and he was testifying over here at Gran Quivira, he says, I've lived a life, I don't know what I've accomplished, but I did try to live according to biblical principles. And it said, be fruitful and reproduce. And he said, I've done that. He had 8 kids.
I'm not sure if I should tell this, but Daddy had a theory on them Indians up there, yeah, at Gran Quivira. He said they were the Chattahoochee Indians. And I said, the Chattahoochee Indians? And he said, yeah, they got up on that hill and they looked around and said, where the shit are we? So, you know, he had his own history book.
This is what he told me. He had been to Mountain Air, and I don't remember the man's name, but he asked him, and this was after my dad had gotten saved. And he said, will you take a keg of nails for me to Artesia? And of course my dad said sure. He said he got back home and he put the horses in the barn and said he picked those up and it said it started sloshing.
They were liquid nails.
And he said, he took them out and he said, no, I can't take that. So he went and hid them, and he went to Gran Quivira immediately, and he wrote a letter to the guy in Mountain Air and said, I'm sorry, I can't take your keg of nails. That's one story he told me.
Well, it's assuring to know that he had a little bit of integrity there, right?